Hi, my friend. Today in Fide Grand Prix tournament leg 2, there was an amazing game between Dmitry and Andreikin and Etienne Bacrot. And this game features a queen sacrifice and is a roller coaster. Both players had a winning chance several times and they didn't find it. Let's go to it and see what happens. It's a queen gambit decline. I ignore the opening and fast forward opening because here we want to discuss the mid game and end game. There's no end game, middle game actually. We want to discuss the middle game situation and lots of tactical opportunity that was missed by both sides. Even though they sacrifice a queen, they don't see what they are doing actually. Sometimes I feel I'm a stupid when I play. Okay, we reached the critical point that I wanted to discuss. But when I see these top grandmasters, they make such play, then I say maybe we are all stupid players. So let's go to it. And here knight is pinned to the queen, so black moves the queen away. And now white queen is in danger. And this is a big danger. For example, if white does nonsense, then such a move, this discovery attack is killer. You should move the queen somewhere, but then you will lose a full knight. It's not just a knight, you will lose the whole structure. So white should be careful and do something meaningful, and white first attacks the queen. And again, the situation is the same. Black has knight c6. So what white is doing? He pushes to the black knight. Black retreats the knight, and I should tell you one point about the situation of the game. Here, if Dmitry and Andreikin win the game, then he goes to the next round of the Grand Prix. If they lose the game, then he should play a tiebreak against Sam Shokland. And if he loses, then he is eliminated. So he goes for a crazy line. At this position, before I show you the crazy line, he actually goes to capture the rook. At this position, of course, white could grab the knight, and after a series of exchange, we arrive to a position that black is up exchange and will be up a pawn, but white is up a piece. And it's an imbalanced game. If you check engine says that it's 0-0, but it's a completely imbalanced game. But what happened in the game is that white sacrificed the queen. And after black has to take with the knight. Taking with the rook was an immediate mistake, right? Taking with the rook was a big mistake. And this is a very promising position for white. And white will win because after you move the queen somewhere, then this piece is also gunner. So 3 pieces for a queen is really good. And one of the pieces was even rook. So black has to take with the knight, and then we arrive to a position that I want to discuss again. Here, if you check with the engine, is +4. But it's a crazy +4. I mean, it's not easy to see why it is +4. But let's talk about human point of view. What can you see at this position? White rook is pinning the knight to the rook. Okay, the knight cannot move. The rook should move. White rook pinning the bishop to the king of black. This rook is very strong. So you don't want to move this rook. But it's also not easy for black to kick this rook away. And what else do you have? You have another rook. As a white, you have another rook. If this rook comes over there to e8, then bam. Yes, attacks the bishop, and it's a very pleasant position for white. What do? You want to bring the rook to the back rank. Of course, you cannot bring it to the b8. Also, d8 is very slow. There is a pawn and queen in the middle of the way. But the e8 is very easy to reach. Just go to e1 and then e8. So going e1, e8, it was not difficult to see. But Dmitry and Andreikin played rook c1. Just want to show you what happens. But then the rest continuation was very difficult. Anyways, I feel that it was pretty easy to see that rook e1 was good. But this continuation is crazy engine line. But on the other hand, when you see the harmony of pieces, you can simply go for it. At this position, white is threatening to finish the game. Black should find the escape square and try to run after some, for example, after taking the defender of the bishop, the knight is defender of the bishop, right? Black cannot simply grab the bishop of white to save its own bishop, because then loses a queen. So black should, at this position, black should grab the knight at the, in the best case. Engine even says that give up the queen, but then this is a winning position for white. Of course, it's a lots of move, but it's too promising to miss it. Anyways, I just want to show you this line. Anyways, Dmitry and Andreikin didn't find this and didn't play it. So let's go to the original line of the game. This is game of missed opportunities. So what has been played was that rook c1 and kicks the knight, and let's go forward to arrive to the next critical position. Here is the next critical position basically. Black is attacking bishop of white and knight of white. As a human player, you play natural move of Etienne Bacrot. Dmitry and Andreikin. But actually Andreikin had to play knight e3 attacking the bishop, and after king comes up, white reaches the row by repetition. But didn't play that. White didn't play that. Instead retreat the knight, normal human play move, and Etienne Bacrot played very good at this from this point on. Okay, on up to some point. Here, black is completely winning. Black is completely winning, and takes the knight, takes back, and notice that white creates a scary position for black, right? Says that I want to grab your g pawn and win it. And what would you do? Black shouldn't have taken this knight, but still is okay. And white can grab the g pawn, but it's not bringing them too much advantage. Instead, white plays pawn g4. Pawn g4 limits the black king, and it's very scary, right? King is mate. For example, if we do some stupid move, for example, rook a2 to attack the f2 pawn, then this is a mate. So black should find a good move to save the king. How do you save the king? You cannot defend the g7 spot with any piece. So you immediately ignore moving any piece. You cannot move the king. Again, immediately you ignore moving the king. What are the possible options? Moving the pawns, right? How many pawns you can push? You can push the d pawn. It is completely irrelevant. You can push the f pawn and h pawn. If you push the f pawn, you immediately see that, for example, if you play f1 to f5, you immediately see that queen defends the g pawn, and then white doesn't have a chance to grab that pawn and win the game. So also white cannot try to be nasty. For example, after this, cannot go, for example, taking this pawn and trying to deflect the king, because and white has to take this queen right now because it's check. It's in check. White wishes to play bishop there, but it is in check, so should grab this. And at this position, only one that can win is black. Sorry. But of course, it's a game of blunders and mistakes. What happens in a real game is that black plays amazing move of knight d7. Why? What's the reason? Don't get it. Takes the knight, then gives some checks, And I mean, you could have given this check before, right? You could have given such checks before. You didn't need to sacrifice that knight to give such checks. And helps the black king to white king to come up. And now the position is completely winning for black. And white finally resigns. Why? For example, if you try to escape the mate in this time with pawn push, it's too late because the king is close. King of white is close. So black takes, and after you move the king, then this check is basically delivering the mate. Yes, and this was the amazing game that I have no idea what happened. What was the mind process of Etienne and Bacrot to miss simple pawn f5? What do you think about this game? Let me know in the comments. See you next time. Bye.